SpongeBob SquarePants is a classic children's TV show created by Steven Hillenburg and first airing in 1990. Nah, I'm just messing with you. Everybody on the planet knows what SpongeBob is. It doesn't need an introduction. So I wanted to talk about this episode because I see people talking about SpongeBob all the time on Twitter, and anytime this episode comes up, it gets universal praise. Now, I haven't actually seen SpongeBob myself in years, especially the older episodes, so I actually don't remember what exactly happened in this episode. So in this video, I'm going to take a look at Band Geeks. Well, let's just start with the big reason that I really enjoy this episode. It's sweet and has heart. The entire premise of the episode is Squidward brings together the citizens of Bikini Bottom in order to play at the Super Bowl and maybe one-up Squilliam in the process. It's Bubble Bowl, not Super Bowl. I don't know why I said Super Bowl. But throughout the episode, Squidward is just genuinely nice. He's encouraging and supportive of the band even when they all sound like garbage. It's really sweet to watch Squidward be encouraging to the citizens of Bikini Bottom, and when they all destroy the instruments and ruin the practice, Squidward doesn't even get mad at them. He just expresses that this was a big deal to him and he would have liked for everyone to have helped him, and then he tells them that they ruined it, which they did, and to not show up for the show tomorrow. He's crying while he states this, and it's really hard not to feel bad for him here. Squidward genuinely believed that the town could have come together and made a good band, and when that doesn't work, he still tries to encourage them and still wants to play with them. It's not until they all break out into a huge fight and ruin everything that Squidward gets upset. And then SpongeBob gets to town to rally together and play well for Squidward. Yeah, it's introduced as a joke that they pretend Squidward did all of these great things that he didn't to make them all get along, but it's still a nice moment of the town coming together to help one person. One particular moment that I really liked was when Squidward threw the baton because he saw that they didn't need it. They had practiced on their own to help Squidward, so he threw the baton away because the song they were playing from their hearts was infinitely better than anything he could conduct them to play. The episode ends with Squidward jumping and being happy. He's happy he got validation, he's happy he proved Squilliam wrong, and he's happy that the band was there for him. I don't know what else to say. It's just a feel-good episode where a community comes together to help one member achieve his dream after he had recruited them in his belief that they could help him. So the episode isn't just a feel-good story. It also is actually just very funny. The jokes either made me laugh or at the very least gave me a smile on my face. I can't think of a single joke that fell flat. Even the super memed ones like mayonnaise is not an instrument still got a chuckle out of me. The joke here where the vet shows up to Squidward's house is probably my favorite of the episode. Like the vet just shows up after Squidward plays his clarinet for a few seconds, saying that they're from down the street and heard a dying pet. The joke works because 1, there's nothing across the street from Squidward's house, you know, it's just SpongeBob, Patrick, and Squidward's houses there, and that's it, so this guy's either lying for no reason or ran across town just to make Squidward shut up. 2, it's mean-spirited but has a kernel of truth in it and that Squidward is playing badly. And 3, Squidward's reaction is just a stone face of annoyance like this occurrence happens every other day. And while this was lost on me now because I knew it was going to happen, but Sweet Victory itself is actually a joke. Like, it's really unexpected for the band that was garbage last night to come and play this super amazing but cheesy song that would have taken days, if not weeks, to rehearse. Overall, there's just so many jokes in this episode, I don't just want to point them all out. So I won't go too much into the humor, and I suggest that you go and watch the episode yourself. So this episode is probably the perfect example of how you can make something targeted at kids, but is enjoyable for both kids and adults. Squidward wanting to impress or one-up Squilliam isn't necessarily what I got from the episode. I took it as Squidward wants validation and attention, and Squilliam just happened to be the one to give him the opportunity to get the validation he wants. And that is relatable. Like, whether you're a child, an adult, man, woman, non-binary, you want to feel like people like you. You want people to say, wow, you're great at this thing you love to do. I don't care who you are, we all want validation. There is no person that wants to feel like a loser that nobody wants to be around. Now that is a topic that can be approached from different angles. It would be very, very, very easy for Squidward to come off as extremely unlikable in this episode due to this want for validation, but this episode has 2 key aspects as to why he does it. One is something I already mentioned, that Squidward is genuinely nice and supportive of the band, and the other is that he's approached by Squilliam. Squidward doesn't seek out the attention. He's given the opportunity to earn it and he takes it. I think the part where Squidward calls himself unrecognized talent is really what supports my idea here. He wants to be recognized for his talent, but he doesn't want to just be given it. He wants people to actually think he's good rather than just people telling him he's good. Well, I'm not sure everybody would take the job just to do that. I imagine that it also wouldn't be terribly uncommon. So despite being in this episode for like, what, 1 minute at most, Squilliam leaves a very big impression. He's basically Squidward if Squidward was recognized for his talent and was also rich. I wonder if those two things are correlated at all whatsoever. Anyways, we learn the exact relationship between Squilliam and Squidward in this call. Squilliam rubs in the fact that Squidward is a failure compared to him, and that just makes Squidward want validation even more, and Squilliam went out of his way to call Squidward and put him into a situation that would make him look bad. And because Squilliam is just a big old jerk throughout this episode, it makes Squidward's success all the more sweeter. When Squilliam has that heart attack and fucking dies from sheer awe due to the band's performance, oh, it's so nice. Making a character with so much personality despite appearing for literally a minute at most is such an accomplishment. I know he returned a few times in future episodes, but this is almost certainly his most iconic appearance, and he's a great foil to Squidward here. Now, the most well-known, defining moment of this episode and one of the most iconic songs in any SpongeBob episode ever, Sweet Victory. I mentioned a little earlier that this song itself was a joke, and while it's unfortunate that I knew it was coming when I watched the episode for this video, it was still great. I mean, the song itself, while a little cheesy, let's be real, is really good. The song itself didn't really have to relate to the story, but it's nice that it reflects the victory that Squidward has won over Squilliam in the episode. Unfortunately, there's really not a lot to say about it. It's a banger song, fits the episode quite well, and works as a funny joke on first viewing. I really just brought it up here because I just had to mention it. So now it's time for the big question. Does it deserve to be called the best episode of SpongeBob? Or is it overrated? Well, it depends on what the best would mean. Does the best mean that the episode is the most representative of the show? If that's the case, then no, this episode is not one of the best. This episode is a feel-good story with good jokes thrown in it, which not every episode is, and has Squidward as the main character instead of SpongeBob. But most people don't mean that when they call something the best. Neither do I, because while I understand using that classification when talking about the best of something, I personally don't like doing that. But I thought I should mention it anyways. Most people, including moi, mean that the episode is the most enjoyable in the most aspects, and by using that definition, this episode absolutely deserves to be considered one of the best. Like I said, it's got great humor, a feel-good story that makes you feel bad for Squidward at first, a banger song, a personality-filled antagonist who despite appearing for like a minute leaves a huge impression. It really is a fantastic episode of SpongeBob SquarePants, which is a show for children. Oh yeah, that kind of leads me to... why am I, an almost 20-year-old man, making a video talking about a show for children? Just because children are the target demographic, it doesn't mean adults can't enjoy it. It really is that simple. In fact, that's why I made the video to begin with. I saw a few different people on Twitter talk about SpongeBob and this show called Bluey that I have no interest in, and they had to defend why they watch these shows. Now, I don't know about Bluey, maybe it's like Teletubbies, I have no idea, but kids shows can be enjoyed by adults. Hell, I made a video about the tragic character of Fern in Adventure Time, another show that's targeted at kids. I know some of you may be thinking, so just watch what you want. And I agree, but I just thought I should mention it to end this video off. I think the fact that I watched this episode and noticed some things that even adults can relate to is just wonderful, and I truly believe that more people, children, adults, whatever, should go and watch this episode. So yeah, that's it. I know this video isn't really that long, but I didn't want to stretch it out to be longer than it had to be.